This summer on the Digital Financial Revolution Tour, we travel to over 30 cities across the U.S. to spread the word about Bitcoin, generational wealth, and financial freedom. By popular demand, the revolution continues. Join the Queen of Crypto, Najah Roberts, and her special guests for a 3-day deep dive this October 21st through the 23rd in the ATL. Get your tickets early because this will sell out. Visit dfrexperience.com for more info.
Hello, and welcome everyone to a new edition of On the Block. And we are here today with some future stuff, right? Like for real, some future stuff. And I'm super excited today to bring our guest on today. He actually doesn't need much of an introduction because I've seen some of the incredible things that he's doing in the space. But his name is Darryll, and he has an incredible background in the crypto space, and just really watching the technology and all the things that he has been doing thus far, and really excited for him to share those things with us. So Darryll, what's up? How are you today?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be on the show. Really excited to talk about some of the really cool projects that are either passing over our desk or that we're actually working on ourselves. And just excited to see another friendly, happy face in the crypto space. The enthusiasm is what this industry needs right now. And I think that getting minds like this together and getting this information out is just so important.
Absolutely, it is. So, Darryll, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you're a father. I know that you're a husband. I know that you're a business owner. I know that you're an entrepreneur. I know that you're a techie. But tell us a little bit about some of the accolades that you hold.
So, I've been on the West Coast for 20 years. And when I was 22 years old, I was producing television shows for MTV and doing feature films with Universal Studios. I wrote a feature film in 2007. It was optioned by a major studio. And then I kind of had to pivot because the recession really took out the entire movie industry. So I moved to Las Vegas and I worked the ladder up running nightclubs, running $100 million nightclubs that, people want to go to, like XS and Dre's, Privé, all the major players from about 2008 on. And so I've, won different awards for my hosting. I've won, biggest nightlife supporter, president of nightlife, prom prince, these things that are, awarded to the top people in entertainment out here in Las Vegas. And then I went on, obviously, that's why I'm here. I went on to build a tech career that is most notable for our Concierge product, which is a cryptocurrency that can be used in nightclubs in Las Vegas. And also gives rewards and amenities to you in major tourism destinations. So that's really, yeah.
I want to say, before you go any further, let's back up because I live close to Vegas. I grew up, I'm here in Los Angeles, and I grew up driving to Vegas. Like, we would literally go to Vegas, do a couple things for a couple hours, and drive all the way back. But I had no idea that the club scene was as intense as it is. I had no idea that DJs got paid what they got paid in Vegas. I had no idea how much liquor, what liquor brought in revenue until this whole cannabis thing came together. And then remember, the liquor companies had to be the transporters or the distributors. It's like something weird. And then I started looking at what these guys were actually making, and I was saying, holy cow, I missed the boat. But anyway, how did you get from the entertainment industry into technology? Because that's it's not a big jump, but based on Hollywood and kind of the old way that they do things, how did you get into tech?
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. I ran those nightclubs, and then I realized I wanted to run my own hosting company. So I ran my own hosting company for a few years towards the end of my career in Vegas. And then a law got passed that it instantly made my company illegal. They basically said that we were scalping tickets. We weren't. We were selling and brokering tables off our own Rolodex to the nightclubs directly. The nightclubs were happy with it, but the Nevada Gaming Control Board decided they wanted a piece of the pie, so they came in and regulated non-gaming casino establishments. So I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I had worked in Vegas for 8 years. I made a name for myself. People knew who I was. And I had a friend that worked at a tech company that got me an entry-level job. And this entry-level job was with Google. And so I went into training as, bottom-level employee, no dress code. I wore a suit every single day. I shook hands. I opened doors. I smiled. I said, thank you and please, ma'am and sir. I went through training. I excelled at the top of training. I got on into production and was so good at what I did that my ranking was number 1 out of 300,000 employees. So yeah. So then they promoted me to operations, where I rewrote how that campaign runs. I rewrote the steps of service based off of my hospitality experience to how to do that campaign. Also, that gave me an opportunity to learn the inner workings of the Google Play Store and how to launch a third-party application, what that actually means. A lot of people don't know, if you build a third-party app, Google, and it goes on the Google Play Store, Google's now your support system. Google takes care of you if there's money issues, if the system goes down, if the app crashes, if the device crashes that the app's on. So you now have this huge system. So I left Google, and it was right around the time that crypto was kind of getting hot. It was really early 17. I had a few friends that were involved in it. And so I started investing a little bit of money, started putting a couple dollars here and there. And I got ripped off. First investment I put money into, I got ripped off. And so I partnered with another guy that also got ripped off and said, why don't we build our own ethical cryptocurrency platform, transparent with, US addresses and US phone numbers and people who are actually notable. And so that's kind of how I made that switch. And then we started doing a lot of research about crypto, started a blog, started a forum, ran a faucet, and then realized that there was a law that was passed in 2017 that you could circumvent gaming law using blockchain. So I built a hosting company and a cryptocurrency called Coincierge. And the irony of it all is that the platform we built it on didn't have any real big apps. So we built our own wallet, we built our own point of sale, and we launched it December 31st, 2017.
Wow. Well, I will tell you, you definitely, that circumvention, just made me smile.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Man, that's awesome. So, man, that's an incredible story. And so how receptive have nightclubs and hotels been to accepting your cryptocurrency in Vegas?
It's been the biggest uphill battle of my life. To be completely honest and fair, I had to go to my friends and beg for favors. But in August of 2017, manually, because the app wasn't ready yet, we processed the first bottle transaction on the blockchain and sold the first table at Light Nightclub on the Waves blockchain. And so that then led to Light letting us operate in there when we opened up. Another friend of mine ran Chateau Nightclub. He doesn't anymore. But he allowed us to operate out of there. And what I mean by that is not just payments, but when CES came to town, these clubs gave me free tables and free bottles to bring whoever I wanted to the club. So we had a whole section on the dance floor at Light with all these bottles and people that were at our CES booth like, oh, hey, come to Light Nightclub tonight. And so that, that's also been a critical part of our ascent is this go-to-market and customer acquisition costs that we don't have to worry about paying venues and sponsoring events or for like most companies do because we have these hookups in Vegas.
Wow. That's really incredible. And I've always wondered, how receptive people are, because just recently when I went to Vegas, I saw a couple more signs than I've seen before in reference to acceptance of Bitcoin specifically. I even think there's kind of like an exchange, like a brick and mortar, because I have a brick and mortar exchange, but there's like this little hole in the wall there in Vegas, and I know it's not legal, but they're selling Bitcoin. So I was wondering.
I know who you're talking about. There's a few physical over-the-counter exchanges here. One of them that actually does have the right licensing to do it. One of them does not. And we actually tried to work with some of these guys. throughout the years. It just doesn't really fit our model because they want to make money off of Bitcoin transactions. And we feel like the transaction should be all you make. It shouldn't be like, oh, let me mark up the Bitcoin and then do the OTC and then also make the money on the transaction. Because again, we wanted to come at this from an ethical standpoint. We wanted people to be able to realize gains, and you can't realize gains if you're getting cut every time you buy and sell. So we're very kind of cautious with that. But yeah, there's been a lot of uptick in crypto. We have a group out here. There's about 800 of us. My friend Aaron and Kingsley Edwards of Float, they created it. It's the Las Vegas Bitcoin meetup. And we were doing events up until the pandemic every single month, especially if there was a conference out here. I also know that the D Casino accepts Bitcoin for everything but gambling. So it's coming along. It's evolving. And seeing it over the last 5.5 years, had I thought that this was going to happen in 2018? Absolutely. Am I happy that it's still where it is right now and we're still very much part of the market and have a market hold? I guess that's a good answer too. So we're just struggling it along, and obviously with the pandemic, Vegas had to reboot. Everything had to reboot. So it's an interesting experience now post to see what Vegas is like.
Well, I got to keep pausing you because you had 800 people showing up before COVID.
So we had a group of 800. The parties produced about 200, 250 every single time we do a party. That
is crazy. We have a, and I don't want to say a rough time, but in Los Angeles, like if we can get 150 people to come out to a crypto event, and we're giving free beer and pizza sometimes, it's just something. So, Vegas is progressive. So I guess that would kind of make sense too. And then there's a lot of events and different venues that come through there, different events that come through there that are crypto oriented. So I guess it does make sense. So did you speak at Unconfiscatable?
No, but I know Tone Vace very well, and I was told, this is from some very notable people in the industry, Ken Bozak, that I am one of the only people that destroyed Tone Vace on his Bitcoin maximalist agenda at this Philadelphia Bitcoin meetup in 2018. We were both speaking. He opened it. He talked about how there can only be one coin. And then I got up there and just explained what we did and how we at that time probably had 30,000 assets on our platform and that they were all available and usable and liquid. And this is the use case. This is the amenities that you get. So yeah, I know Tone, but I just haven't been to Unconfiscatable.
And then his face went. So that's a perfect segue into Future Stuff.
Excellent.
So tell us about Future Stuff, what it is, who came up with this fabulous concept, programming, all those things. Tell us what Future Stuff is.
Yeah, let me give you a little bit of a journey story so you kind of understand how we evolved. Obviously founded in 2017 under the name Crypto Cash Hub Incorporated, we launched Coincierge, and then we went to market. And as we started going to conferences, we realized there was an opportunity in the renewable energy space. So I instantly filed a US patent to tokenize electricity collected from solar. So now we had two projects that we were scaling side by side. And so that brought us through scaling Wall Street. That brought us through scaling Silicon Valley. We did a couple accelerators. I pitched Jason Calacanis and kind of got to like the top of where I was kind of getting complacent. I started looking at all these companies that were doing, SaaS models to track your luggage. Like that's not innovation. That's just taking the same idea and copying and pasting it. So I had a really interesting cattle call pitch event. I was all like, this sucks. Innovation stifled. And then I heard an Elon podcast. And it was first I heard a Chris Sacca podcast, then an Elon podcast. And I was like, you know what? I can do more. No, screw this. We're going to do more. So we decided that we wanted to look into space tech. Not quite sure what the direction that we wanted to go, but decided to evolve that. At the same time, we decided we wanted to rock the electric vehicle world. And so we started sketching up ways to hot swap electric vehicle batteries as opposed to charging them. My business partner has a background in building custom cars. And so we have the resources at our disposal. And at that Jason Calacanis event, we hired Wilson Sonsini to be our external counsel. And so they suggested that I move the company to Delaware to be more investable and that we take the word crypto out of our name. And so it was like, well, what do we do? And we had our team meetings and we kind of started spitballing things. And I just, was like, future stuff. That's what we do. We do future stuff. It doesn't have to be in one lane, and it doesn't have to be all of the same team working on all the same projects. So if it's a space payment layer, payment solution, if it's doing the first Thomas Kincaid NFT for physical art ever, it all comes under this umbrella. During the pandemic, when everything shut down, we built. You like that? So we built this peer-to-peer bartering platform on the day that Nevada shut down. I actually coded it out in 5 hours, tested it for 3 months, and then sold it half or a third of it a year later. That's now partnered with a hardware platform. All of that is future stuff. So it really just fits the bill of, what we're trying to accomplish without really having to explain, like, if you don't understand what the name means, then I don't know if I can really take you down that rabbit hole. You know what I mean?
Right. No. That's good stuff. Because when I first read it, I was like, this is a heck of a name for a company. Future stuff. Short of saying a curse word, but that is FS. That's right. So I absolutely love it. So let me just ask you this, because you're in tech, you're doing fabulous. You have a coin, you've got all this stuff going for you through future stuff. Like, what right now keeps you up at night? Like, what bothers you the most, or what innovation do you see coming that's keeping you up? Like, what keeps you up at night?
That is an interesting question. And if I had unlimited resources and abilities, I would probably be trying to build some sort of anti-gravity machine that people could wear that would help, like, people that are either crippled or disabled or just clumsy. But I don't. One of the things that really, really fascinates me, and mostly because, just to correct you, I'm engaged to Megan Crawford, managing partner of Space Fund. So our Pillow Talk is how do we innovate for space? And so it's really been an interesting journey to look at how the two industries cross over. So one of the things that really keeps me up at night, that's got me going, is off-planet transactions. And I don't mean beaming the signals down to Earth to run on a Bitcoin network. I mean building a completely off-planet blockchain that's completely separate from any server on Earth and never communicates ever.
So you're talking about not Web3, maybe Web 5.
Yeah. So we're talking about launch services agreements and sending servers up into space, and getting partners that are going to be doing commerce in space, which we've got 3 lined up right now. And so one of the very interesting things about space is a lot of their docking mechanisms use QR codes. What other industry do we know sends financial transactions through QR codes? So it's very synergetic. And so that's one of the things that really kind of gets me going. And I'm a big car nerd. So, this whole idea of having to charge your Tesla for half an hour versus being able to hot swap it in the amount of time that it takes to drop a convertible top, that's what's going to happen. The reason why we charge EVs the way we do is because the public would never have accepted that in 2006 when we first started seeing EV chargers. They wanted to plug something in like a gas that you do with the gas station.
Right. And so I have been waiting for this interview to ask you this question.
Okay.
Because we just moved in this house. But prior to this, 2 weeks ago, we sat in the dark 4 nights straight from 3 p.m. to 4 in the freaking morning. Mm-hmm. And our governor and everybody else was telling us, don't charge our cell phones. Mm-hmm. Don't do, like, we literally sat in the dark because there was no power at Southern California Edison. How in tarnations are they going to make it mandatory for us to have electric vehicles if we can't even power our freaking houses right now? Like, I am so confused as to what is going on. What is hot swapping? How can that help with those type of situations? Because I had like tons of food that just went bad because we were out of power for 4 nights. And so I'm just trying to figure out where are we getting, where's our grid's not sustainable here in California. Like, what can be done, or how does hot swapping help that situation, mm-hmm. if it does?
Well, it does a lot of things. And I think the question that you're asking is, how does it change the demand on the grid? And mm-hmm. the answer to that is effectively the difference between having a hose that has water in it and buckets of water. Right now, in order to charge an EV, they're effectively connecting the garden hose to a system that just pulls off of a centralized power source that all these other industries and homes and businesses rely on. Whereas the hot swap idea, these batteries are already charged. So you have them stored in certain locations, and you know how many batteries you have, and you know how much time it's going to take for you to replenish that energy. So you actually separate it from the grid in a sense of it's predetermined energy packages that sit in a certain location, if that makes sense. There also needs to be a major grid infrastructure upgrade in California, and potentially breaking up the monopoly that's there and having separate systems run certain areas. Because when I used to live out there, I remember the rolling blackouts were insane. I just was like, by the way, you're not going to have power, and it's hot, and it's the summertime, and especially, Southern California, it's really hot out there. So that's one of the ways that it's going to really help. But the bigger play is the longevity of the vehicles, which means you don't have to produce as many vehicles. So the problem with Tesla and problem with EVs is the batteries are very expensive and they have a shelf life. And once they're done, you have to replace them. It's like buying a Honda Civic to replace a battery in a Tesla. Well, if you're hot swapping these batteries and they're constantly getting refurbished, then you're extending the battery life, and then you're not even connected to the most expensive thing in the vehicle. So this car now can last 20 years or maybe even 50 years, depending on the build quality. If Honda decides to make a legit Tesla beater, I think that car could probably go 50 years. Toyota decides to make a legit Tesla beater, that can probably go 50 years. So that's the bigger play here. And then for me, for being a car guy, why can't I take my Model 3 and drop a 100D battery in there? You know what I mean? Like, I could go instantly to 3.2 seconds, 0 to 60. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that helped me kind of understand that, and to let me know I'm not crazy. Because these blackouts are like, I was like, what in the world? And they were sending out all these emergency messages, like an Amber Alert, like somebody had been kidnapped or something. Do not plug in your cell phones. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And we're in the middle of getting ready to go to all EV cars. But anyway, so.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It really is ridiculous. So I know that you have some incredible things. I know you said you looked at our bios and you were looking at some of the things that we have. And you said that there were some synergies. And I'm excited to hear what you saw as far as the synergies and what info or what fabulous something you want to drop or lay on us today, because I'm excited about it.
Awesome. This one's going to be big. So I believe it was around March or April of 2021. We were approached through a mutual friend about a group that wanted to build a casino in Las Vegas. Okay. And that doesn't sound that unique. And, they wanted to run crypto on it, and that is our thing, but it's still not like super unique because D's already doing it and Resorts World wants to do it. And, it's not unique, but their theme for this resort, sports complex, and heritage museum is going to be about African-American heritage. It's going to be an African-American owned, and it's going to be putting on display things that people would never be able to see before in their life. Think about going to the Picasso Museum for African-American Heritage. Think about when you come to Las Vegas and all of a sudden it's, something for the community that's literally been overlooked more than any other community on planet. So the synergies between this project are exactly what you guys are trying to do. It's for the people. It's a project that would allow anybody, because there is a crypto. And again, and I'll get into this because there's some SEC stuff I have to say, but there is a crypto that does allow you to buy any amount that you want and own a piece of this property, this revenue generating property. Sure, you can spend it at the property, but you also effectively get a piece of the company. And so this gentleman, Santino Jones, who's very well known in the music industry. We're operating this under the New World brand for the casino, and Zeta community token for the community. Has been speaking with the mayor of Cleveland, the mayor of Atlanta, the mayor of Detroit, the community leaders in those cities. And for the last, I would call it year and a half, we've been campaigning, whisper campaigning around the country about this project. But now we're at the point where we're bringing in some heavy hitters in investment banking to put up the capital to build the project that we're actually building. So
awesome.
We've got a lot. We've got a site. We've got a designer. We've got a casino manager. We've got me with the crypto side. We've got Santino, who is very well known, has been known for 30 years in the community. And so now it's really go time. And so when I saw your website first, but then when I saw the little intro for what you had for the thing in Atlanta, we're probably going to go to that thing in Atlanta. We're probably going to be banging on your door, being like, "Hey, ZetaCoin, hey, Real World," because it's right up our alley with what they want to do and what they want to accomplish.
That is awesome. And so there was a project, and I know you're in Vegas, so you know Yoshi. I'm sure you know Yoshi.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had this Moulin Rouge thing that they were supposed to be doing. They flew me up to Vegas. I don't even know whatever happened with that, but I'm happy to hear that somebody's actually got a project that's actually getting ready to do something.
We got Eddie Griffin. Eddie Griffin's one of our main guys helping us out with the project. We just did a big event with him and Chris Angel out here where they're shooting this reality TV show and all of the promotions. Onyx is behind us. There's some pretty solid names in the industry that go back a while that really demand the respect what this project is going to be.
That is awesome. Well, I am super excited about hearing about it. Definitely. Would love to see what the synergies are as far as we have this thing that we're doing now called the black market, and so they're black cryptocurrencies. Mm-hmm. Just making sure that the community is aware of what they are, who's behind them, what the technology is, and tokenomics and all those things. Yep. So I would love to be a part of, finding out what we can do next to become a part, because it's right up the street for me.
100%. 100%. And the thing about this project and what I would not budge on was we're filing with the SEC. We got crypto attorneys. We're doing everything correctly to protect anybody that's involved in this project. And at this point, with the exemption that we filed, the SEC will allow us to raise an unlimited amount of capital from an unlimited amount of investors, which means you could put $10 in if that's all you've got. And you own that, whatever that 10% equates to the market cap, just like any other crypto. But almost like a staking node or staking coin, the profit that gets made in these transactions at the casino get paid out and distributed to the people that hold the token.
Wow. This is incredible. And I know, man, there's just so many things we could do with this, because my mind is racing right now. That is such a phenomenal thing that you all are undertaking. So whatever I can do to be a part, please let me know.
Absolutely.
Definitely all in for that. So what's next for future stuff?
Immediate next is I'm going to get a plane to go to Austin to speak to a bunch of military executives, like majors and government officials at an event called Fed Supernova, where I'm going to explain to them why they need blockchain and why blockchain needs to happen. Because obviously we know some countries don't talk to each other, don't exchange information, but we all know that the blockchain with its full transparency would allow you to release that information. So that's one of the things, the reasons why they're bringing us in, is to explain why this technology is important. For me, it's going to be, working on settlement layer, getting the space payment solution up and going, and going with the go-to-market, and a little bit of a capital raise once we get our ducks in the row. But obviously, I can't say that publicly that we're raising. So full disclosure type things that we say on podcasts like this. And honestly, keeping my ear to the ground to see what's next. I mean, I'm an advisor to a project that is co-invested by Space Fund and Tim Draper, and it's quote unquote called the Space Gun. But effectively, it can shoot solid materials up into space. And so, yeah, I mean, these are the type of things that we're working on right now. So I'm just excited to be able to continue to see my vision of crypto in Vegas happen, help evolve an industry that I am truly excited about, and also help projects that I couldn't do myself. I can't build a space gun myself. I can't build an alternative fuel propulsion system, but I can help them navigate business development, and I can help them navigate a crypto side if there's a crypto side, or the investment side if they need investment. And because, I went to Draper U, and I did work with Jason Calacanis and things like that. Like, so on This Week in Startups, like that's what I do. I bring my network in. So to tell you, I know what the future holds for me, it holds stuff. That's what it holds for me. That's what it holds for me. And I don't want to be typecast to one lane because it's just so amazing. So like all the different companies that I know.
You just nailed it when you said, I don't want to be tied to one lane, because I was going to say, I think when people look at me, they say, well, she's doing this and doing this and doing this and this. But if I was just in one lane, that one lane just makes me miss out on a whole other world of things that we can be doing and creating and being a part of. And I see in you the same spirit, like you are all over the place in a very organized fashion, making sure that innovation is continuing and making sure that you're always open to the possibilities. And so I just aspired, for everyone that's listening, for you to open your mind, just become a visionary, try to really figure out where you fit in this space, and don't just get stuck in one lane, because that one lane is not going to take you all across the world. It's you being available and saying yes to the things that you can say yes to, and even the things that you don't know what you're doing just yet, just getting in there, jumping in and learning how to swim as you go. And that's what this space is about. So lest I just ramble on, Darryll, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers today?
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to kind of touch on what you just said a little bit more, and then kind of leave a bit of an inspirational kind of call to action. One of the worst pieces of advice that I've ever heard in Silicon Valley and in technology is focus on one thing and do it right. And I feel like that's told to people that can't quite comprehend that bigger picture, can't quite have multiple projects. And sure, it is great advice for someone that wants to build a SaaS product for the next luggage tracking system, but it's not great advice for Elon Musk. And if you want to be bigger than what you are right now, if you want to have that vision, if you want to be notable in the industry or the top of the industry, you have to think like those guys. You have to think about Jeff Bezos didn't have a dream of building a bookstore in his garage. He had a dream of building an international infrastructure system to move any product anywhere better than any other system in the world. I mean, that's what you have to look at. And how do you get there? Well, you take baby steps, or you push one thing in the direction like this as you progress, and it eventually kind of all comes together. But that's really what I've learned, through multiple, I've seen success in LA in the movie industry. I saw success in Vegas in the nightclub industry. And now I'm seeing success in this worldwide in the technology space. And it's the same pattern. Just don't give up. Just keep going. Just keep pushing. Just keep driving. Keep believing in yourself. Another piece of advice that I think is very important that I've heard that always stuck with me is, if you're a founder of a company, you're the only person that can shut you down. If you're the founder of a company, you're the one that decides when the company ends. A company could run out of money. You could fire every single employee and not get a salary anymore. Doesn't mean the company isn't still running. Doesn't mean that you can't be in the background trying to rebuild it, reboot it, restart it, fundraise from a different position, pivot. You know what I mean? Pivoting in Silicon Valley is so common, and typically it's for the best, because you don't always get it right on your first, they call it a swing at bat, but you don't always get it right on your first swing. But what do batters do if they get a strike the first time? Well, they take the next pitch, and they take the next pitch, and they keep going. And, I use a lot of sports, references, because my dad was huge in sports. He's a huge influence on me. He's this 6'4" firefighter / politician / carpenter. Like that, and that tells you everything you need to know about doing one thing and doing it best. I watched my dad grow up doing 3 things best. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of stuff that you have to look for, and look for those inspirational figures from whatever industry it's in. And if you're bored with your job, or if you're bored doing the 9 to 5, get out. I mean, there's so many remote from home work opportunities right now. That's really what I'm trying to say, is that you don't have to keep going through the routine. And I think a lot of people got that opportunity during the pandemic when they didn't have a job to go to. And they realized how miserable an hour-long commute from San Francisco to Silicon Valley was, or, a commute from Greenwich into the city, or, any of that stuff. And so do what you want to do. Don't let the everyday tasks and things that you're responsible for stop you from doing what you want to do. That's all I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. And all I can say is preach, brother, because that was awesome, awesome information. And if anyone wants to know more about future stuff and the fabulous things that Darryll is doing, you're definitely going to hear about one of his projects from me very, very soon, because I am looking forward to getting on board with that project. And he has no idea the synergy there, because I actually have a blueprint for a hotel, but it's not an African-American one, but it's in Vegas and some other stuff. But we're going to talk about this because I'm excited to it. Yeah, so check them out on futurestuff.org. Again, futurestuff.org. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for another fabulous episode, Darryll, on the block. And again, I look forward to working with you. If anyone has any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me on social media. I'm going to be in contact with him, and he's going to be in contact with me, and we're going to make some stuff happen. And I appreciate you today. Take care of the family. Tell the fiance I said hello. Tell her I said hello. And again, I thank you for your time. You have an incredible rest of your evening, okay?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. This has been wonderful.
Thank you. Have a good night.
This summer on the Digital Financial Revolution Tour, we travel to over 30 cities across the U.S. to spread the word about Bitcoin, generational wealth, and financial freedom. By popular demand, the revolution continues. Join the Queen of Crypto, Najah Roberts, and her special guests for a 3-day deep dive this October 21st through the 23rd in the ATL. Get your tickets early because this will sell out. Visit dfrexperience.com for more info.